Hey y'all, welcome back for another week. This week we're making pasta Primavera, which is simply pasta with vegetables. Spring's coming, the summer gardens are going to be coming in soon, and it doesn't hurt to have a recipe that celebrates some of these great vegetables that are be coming out of your gardens soon. And also with the way things are recently and meat prices getting as expensive as they are, it doesn't hurt to have a meal every now and then that's a vegetarian dish and stretch that old food budget just a little bit. So anyway, let's jump in. All we need are some vegetables. Frankly, we just went to the store and found what looked good today. And let's get started. All right, we've got some vegetables that we need to cut up this week. And you've had some practice at this. What's the main point? The main point this week is we're going to cut these vegetables in slices, and we want to try to make them all a uniform size. The reason that we're going to cut them in slices instead of like little rounds, cross sections, is the vegetables we're cooking this week have a lot of moisture in them, and we're going to roast these in the oven. And we want to give an opportunity for all that moisture that's in these vegetables to cook out for a bit, so that your meal won't be watery. And we're also going to concentrate the sugars that are in the vegetable so they cook down, caramelize a little bit. And if we cut our vegetables in sticks instead of slices, then it's going to maximize the surface area of the vegetable and allow us to achieve that result that we're looking for. Alright, so I'll do a couple of these and show you. The main point is, number one, no blood, don't cut your finger, right? But maybe cut these in about a 1/4 inch dice, something like that. Just take your time, cut these into some sticks like this. Depending on the size of your carrots and your squash. Let me go through a few of the others here just to show you. One of the tricks, remember, if it's rolling around on your cutting board, there'll be blood, and that's bad. So, cut a slice off, and you can cut some slabs here. Cut those into sticks. We've talked about how to cut up pepper before. Watch your fingers. There you go. Alright, I've got a squash in here. I'm going to save those for snack. Notice I'm just cutting these in half. One more time, how to cut an onion. We've gone over that before. Only. So now cut up the rest of your vegetables. We'll come back and talk about what to do with them after that. Alright, we're back. Got all our vegetables cut up, and now let's get these things seasoned. So just you know, give them a good generous portion of salt, but not too much. Alright. I like pepper, so I'm going to give them a good round of pepper. Alright. You want to coat these with a little olive oil. This is one of those experience things. You want to be generous, but you don't want it to be swimming in oil. Alright? Because the oil in here is going to help you caramelize the vegetables. It's going to bring out a little bit of color with it, help them cook. So you want to get a good sprinkle on there, but not too much. Maybe just what it looked like there. And then I think you've got a packet of Italian seasonings, and go ahead and get those scattered on your veggies. Alright, now this is simple. We're going to stick this in a 450 degree oven for about 20 minutes or so. We're going to come back after 10. We're going to stir this around a little bit until they get a little bit of color on them. They get nice and soft. Alright, so let me pop this in the oven and we'll be back in a bit. Alright, since you got your vegetables in the oven, I hope this is a good time. I hope you've got your pot of water going for your pasta there. We're cooking the little bow tie pasta, these little ones. Read the directions and figure out how many servings that you need. We're wanting some leftovers, so I'm going to go ahead and cook the whole thing. I wanted to talk to you for a second. How much salt do you put in your pasta water? Because it always says salt to water, but how much? Depends on how big your pot is, how much water you have. So here's the thing. You want a lot of water in your pot. Water has a high specific heat capacity, so it means it doesn't cool off very easily. So you want a lot of water with a lot of thermal mass, so that when you get the pasta in there, it comes back to a boil very rapidly. All right, so that's the reason you want a lot of water. And how much salt do you want to put in it? If you've been to the ocean, it's easy. Put enough salt in there that if you taste that water, it tastes like the ocean. You don't want it to go, that tastes good. You want it to be like, oh, wow, that's a lot of salt. That's how much salt you should put in your pasta water. So think about that. Also, while your vegetables are going, this is going to be a great time to grate up our Parmesan cheese that we're going to put on top of this thing. And all right, that's all the advice I had for that. Let's wait till the vegetables are ready, and then we'll cook our pasta. Take about 8 minutes. All right, it's been about 10 minutes. If you take a look at our vegetables here, you can tell that I'm really starting to smell them. All right, but they're a long way from being done. So just shake them around a little bit. You don't want them to stick to your pan that you have. Probably can't tell, there's a little bit of moisture starting to cook out of these, and that's okay. But stir them around, and then we're going to pop them back in the oven. And you know what, guys? I'll show you what these look like when they're done. If it takes longer than 20 minutes, cook them longer than 20 minutes. If it takes 30 minutes, fine. If it takes 45 minutes, that's okay. Cook them till they're done. I'll show you what they look like when they're done. All right, so how do you plan the timing of when to put the pasta in and how long the vegetables are going to cook, that sort of thing? Cook the vegetables till they're done, because these things they're going to stay warm. They can hold in the oven for a few minutes. If you got your pasta water nice and hot, if you got it to a rolling boil, it's going to cook for 8 minutes. So when your vegetables are done, you can take those out and set them up on top of the stove top if you want to for 8 minutes, or turn the oven off, open the oven door, just let them sit there in the oven. It's not going to ruin them, and they'll stay nice and warm. Pasta's done, then we're going to throw everything together and it'll still be nice and hot. We'll show you in a minute. All right, I want you to have a look at these vegetables. These have been in for the 20 minutes, and I'm going to put them back in for about another 15 minutes. Because these are not as soft, they're getting there, but see, I mean, they're starting to get tender, but I want them to be soft. I want them to be limp so that when I mix them with my pasta, that they're nice and tender. So I wanted you to take a look at these. I'm going to pop them back in the oven for another 15 minutes. All right, so these have been in the oven now for about 35 minutes, and this is starting to look the way I want it to look. You notice how the vegetables are becoming, they're tender. The carrots are starting to they're getting soft here. They could use just a few more minutes. So I haven't started the pasta yet. I'm going to stick these back in the oven, and I'm going to cook these again while the pasta is on, and it'll be just right by the time the pasta's done. So, all right, y'all, here's my vegetables. And now you can see, don't be afraid to get a little color on these things. There's some little bits here that have a little bit of caramelization to them, but brown food is tasty food as long as it's not burnt, okay? And so these vegetables look just the way I'd like for them to look. I'm gonna set them aside. I've already pulled. Here's our bow tie pasta that I just pulled out just a minute ago, cooked al dente, which means it's not completely mushy. There's still a little bit of bite to it. So y'all, this is about as easy a meal to put together as it gets. So take all your vegetables and slide those into your pan. Alright, got those vegetables there. And the recipe tells you to reserve a little bit of that pasta water. If this looks a little bit dry, you can always put just a little bit of that pasta water in there. So what do you do to finish this thing up? Well, go ahead and you got a bunch of Parmesan cheese that I hope you've already grated. Go ahead and mix that in there. You got some cherry tomatoes that the recipe called for. And so mix your cheese in there and go ahead and stir this together a little bit. Then I'll put on the top of that, because that's always nice. Everybody likes cheese. I like tomatoes, so left a few tomatoes to sprinkle around for their color. Right. And then I'm going to put, one of the things that I think this could use is just a slight drizzle. If you got some good olive oil, a little bit of olive oil right there. This is not from the recipe, but this is a recommendation from the wood-fired foodie. And I think a little bit of acidity is nice, so I've got a little bit of balsamic vinegar. I'm also going to put, this is a nice aged balsamic, going to put a little drizzle of that on there. And then I've got just a little bit of parsley. And there you go, y'all. That looks pretty good if you ask me. So a nice vegetarian dish to celebrate our spring and summer vegetables. Pasta Primavera. I hope you enjoy it. We'll see you next week when you cook with the Wood-Fired Foodie.